Walk into your manager's office, or any manager's office. Likely you'll find them sitting behind a computer. Maybe they're writing out an email to their subordinates about upcoming changes. Maybe they're learning their top-selling product now has competition in Japan or China. Or maybe they're placing their dinner later from their smartphone, which is right alongside their computer. Whatever it may be, managers and leaders today are distracted and have an overwhelming amount of information at their disposal. Leaders today face global competition, constant change, a struggle to be accountable, and lack of effective communication skills. Understanding how to adjust to the needs of a 21st century workplace will lead to successful leadership. According to the article 21st Century Leadership, Redefining Management Education, Educating Managers in the Modern Era, with their increased complexity and globalization, organizations are demanding skills and abilities from their leaders that are only beginning to be understood and never mind mastered. One of the most important of these will be the ability to balance employee needs globally and customer wants globally and locally, a balance that will become harder to strike profitability and efficiently in the coming years. The idea competition is becoming more and more global, as well as resources, means leaders must be able to understand globalization and be able to balance needs demanded from customers, both globally and locally, and possibly even their subordinates. In the article, Face-to-Face Communication, Why It Still Matters for Leadership, Robert Bullock shares, in a Forbes survey of 760 business executives, 8 out of 10 still prefer face-to-face contact over virtual communication. Digital communication is here to stay. But face-to-face communication is still important as it leads to better understanding and meaning, such as being able to see nonverbal cues. When it comes to accountability, people tend to point the finger or blame someone else. In the article, How Leaders Inspire Change, the article addresses accountability. The article states, like trust, accountability has a direct impact on a company's performance. Organizations that actively ingrain accountability into their culture outperform their competitors. The article 25 Essential 21st Century Leadership Skills include aiming to be the best in the world, recognizing communicating is part of everything you do, being relentlessly adaptable, and learning from public failures and mistakes. A lack of accountability, ineffective communication, failure to respond well to change, and globalization will all lead to poor leadership. In the article, The 5 Management Skills Every 21st Century Manager Needs, they quote Amazon leader Steve Bezos, "You need the humility to remind yourself that you've got to get better at everything you do. I don't know about you, but I'm never done growing my company or myself. When things go wrong, you must take responsibility. Instead of burying your head, you learn from your mistakes, take responsibility, and figure out a way to do things better next time. In addition, you must learn to adapt to new communication styles. Instead of using authority, a 21st century leader would utilize the idea of collaboration. Adapting to change is difficult for traditional managers. Traditional managers like to use their way of doing things and stick to it. 21st century leaders make the vision clear and get their team on board." Also noted in the article is embracing the digital. Instead of being overwhelmed, learn how to use technology to your advantage, like the group is doing in the picture. With many different applications, resources, and information that can be accessed digitally, determine how you can use the information, from recruiting great employees to project and team management. Let's take a minute to visualize the difference between an old school manager and a manager of the 21st century, from the hiring process to using technology. As an old school manager, during the hiring process, it's all about grilling the candidate on how they could fit your company, and the power was all in your hands. You see yourself as the boss at the top. You make your authority known and enforce company rules and values. You point the finger when something goes wrong. A 21st century manager approaches hiring entirely different. They take on the approach of having a conversation. Interviews are more of a two-way process. You use technology to your advantage, from the hiring process to team organization. You see yourself as a leader rather than a boss. You focus on employee strengths, collaborate with employees and other leaders, and make the vision clear and make sure everyone is on board alongside you. I strongly advise any managers or future managers to think about their own personal development. Focus on how you can be a better leader. Your subordinates and other leaders will pick up on your personal development. Choose to lead by example. Instead of being the traditional point your finger, degrading manager, you can be one who focuses on strengths instead of weaknesses, values opinions of others, communicates effectively, and uses digital resources. In the article, Fast Rising CEOs have these 4 things in common, as stated by leadership consultant Elena Botello. The differentiation between who succeeds and who fails is not whether or not they make mistakes. It's whether they use them for learning or become so ashamed that they can't move forward.